If you've been watching the channel, you know I've said it's not too hard to find a heart at the beach. That one's got some nice calcite. That never gets old. Welcome back to the channel. We're here on the beach in some of the high rocks, just poking around, learning new things. They're here all the time, but do I know every shell in a concretion such as that one there? Nope. So it's a beautiful day, the sun is out, and it's short sleeves. Spring is finally here, so join us while we check out some cool stuff. Even during the spring, we have storms that will pick up the different plants of the ocean, like the giant kelp and the sea fans, and deposit them on the beach. That's one of the times where there might be some beach erosion, the kind that will show us some treasures, or it doesn't happen. It's anybody's guess. But it's always a good sign to see that the reef was kind of churned. And so here, how about that? That's pretty as a picture. So I said that the light was good. If you're gonna see an agate, teeny weeny. But since we first just got here, at least we're on the board. I didn't expect to see any agates today. So there we go. Is that a teeny weeny bit of blue showing? Yep. Look at that, that's so funny. Hello. Just a little guy. Again. But look at how fancy that is. Let me see if I can fix it here. There we go. That's a fancy little guy. You make up for your lack of size with how pretty you are. We're here early, but somebody was here even before us. You can see that somebody's walked through here, and it wasn't Ochiko, though he did also just now. There he goes again. So, but we have some things that we can look at. We've got some Teredo wood. Kind of a neat piece. I've been wanting to get a decent specimen of this so that I can cut it in the studio for you guys. So, this is a candidate for that. And that, what's that? Looks like a jasper. Oh, it's kind of shiny. Put it in the water. Yeah, looking jaspery. Okay. And what's this? Definitely an agate. Turtley. Small again. We're definitely on this this scale. The ones that everybody missed. We're gonna keep on looking at this tiny little section of fun. I just picked this up out of there. You can see it's a spiral shell. There's the center. But look at how fancy that would have been. I don't know if you're seeing that, you know, the shell had pretty cool things happening on those whorls. I think that's the vernacular I'm supposed to be using. I'll correct myself if I need to. It'll appear somewhere through the screen. I'm always taken aback by how cool the shells are. This is fun. A cool mass die-off. Got spiral shells in there. Definitely have some what looks like the anidaras, but also some other ones. But check that out. Some nice, looks like calcite happening in there. A couple different kinds. I think those are Catherinellas. Another thing that I've been thinking would be fun is to find a good shell conglomerate like this to prep for you. So this is a candidate for that. And a wise man once said, "Stop not liking shells." So we need to do it for the shells, right? Nice shells in the roof. Kind of gives you an idea of where something like this comes from. Here they are as part of the beach. And I always like to pick these up if I see them. Oh, that one's just sedimentary. I thought that was a host for a seam, but that's just a cool kind of form of two different sedimentary rocks banding off like that. We've got a little mini shell collection here. Sometimes those get filled with agate and or zeolites and calcite or whatever the silicification might be, and can be very, very cool. What are you? Should show you that. Okay, here's a teeny weeny bit of seam. So I get a rebate, a Catherinella, I think. I'm getting better at trying to identify the smooth shells. It's easy with the really deep shells to know what you're looking at. Who are you? That's kind of cool, hagstone. Almost looks like a puppy paw. And those guys are created by worms or barnacles, mollusks that get in there and Ojiko just took it. He is a rock hound. He took it. Okay. All right. So, somewhat never mind about that. Is that a little brecciated thing, or is that from erosion? That's from erosion. It's cool. There's a really big shell over here. Let's see if I can get us in there. See that? That's pretty cool. That's either, I would say, a pectin or Misachia, which is our biggest spiral shell that we can have here. There's another big pectin sitting there. Big smile, a toothy smile, like a jack-o'-lantern. Not very rare on this beach. Gonna see plenty of that in the rocks and reef. It's always cool to bear witness to exactly how we find the fossils on the beach. This is fresh erosion. It's really just coming off of this cliff. And you can see these rocks are starting to break apart, and this is particularly soft material, so the concretions and the shell material, you can see that guy, it's just freeing itself, like that pre-prepped kind of thing. And so these are the kinds of fossils that will probably turn to sand pretty quick, because the entire ensemble's pretty soft, not well preserved. There's some pectin and some nice, I'm not sure if that's an anidar or not. Some of these guys that come out of the softer material, I'm not as good at just being able to identify on site. There is the relief of a big pecten that's probably hanging around here somewhere. There's one trying to get out right there. So it's kind of cool to see, you know, take a closer look. And this is not because of people. You know, the shell just falling away from the matrix, falling away from holding the material. It's just the nature of the game, so you can imagine the cycle happens pretty darn fast. If this stuff comes out of the cliff and starts falling apart, crumbling like this. We just had a big storm, so I don't know if the big storm was how come it came out, or that's part of the reason why it's like disassembling so quickly. You want to be really careful on these because obviously it's coming down all the time, so you never know when that's going to be. All right, this is kind of cool. Sitting here on top, this looks like it just freed itself. Focus. Crepedula. I'm going to put it up in the frame so that you can be correcting me. But I guess what the deal is, these are kind of like shells that are a little like a abalone, and these are actually stacked. And I guess what happens is when they are looking to multiply, they will stack upon each other in some kind of fun ensemble. And this death event preserved what they were up to. So there you go. You can fill in the blanks from there. Look at that big old shell. Let me move in for some scale here. It's pretty big, even my hand. Very thick. Maybe looks like a couple, but yeah, that's big. There's some big material right here. It's in soft stone though. Those are some fossils that will probably not survive, but pretty deep in the record. Sun's trying to pop out here. Pretty neat.
Every year, strange honking sounds fly overhead, towards the north in the spring, south in the fall. These Canada geese are a welcome harbinger of the warmer season ahead. It is also a signal that the sand season on the beach is over. Any winter washouts for hunting will be covered soon.
I was talking about the hagstone earlier, and here you can see the culprits. There's the barneys that are in there making the holes. You can just see their shell fragments that are left open or over, and that is how the bacon is made, or sausage, or what have you. Pretty cool. We've hit a section of neat fossils that are just death plates in the big boulders around here, but we have some different ages and they are pretty riddled with material, like this guy here. And what I think is interesting about the array that we have is that there are different shells going on. It's not all the same shell. You've got spiral shells that have some really nice calcification there. This is like a gemmy piece of sandstone. But you can see there were a lot of different varieties that were part of the death event. I find that pretty interesting. I'm not sure what's going on here. It looks like there's a clamshell here. And then Are these snail tracks that got filled in? You know, worm, some burrowing thing. How cool! Like, this does not appear to be Teredo wood, so it's just marks in the matrix material. I don't think I've seen something exactly like that. If you've got an explanation for that, I would love you to leave it in the comments. That would be great. It's cool looking. So Ochi's helping to find the rocks. This one had some interesting texture from afar, you can see. So we have a little puddle here. Let's wash some of this off. There is our piece of Teredo wood I was looking for. Look at that. That's a nice one. That is just darn squirrely. And so cut, polish both. Leave it in the comments, or maybe we already cut to the chase and did it. But Teredo worm wood, shipworm wood, cool stuff. This has some interesting texture. Let's grab it and see what's going on. It's hard to tell what it is. What's your guess? Is that fossily or is it geologic? I don't know. I'm guessing some really weird Teredo wood. I know that's a strange guess, but yeah, look at on this side. Looks like we have the castings a bit. Boy, that is some weird stuff. Oh, it's always cool to see stuff that's just a real anomaly. That's what happens when you slow down. When it's all-time good washout, you don't see the weird stuff. You're too busy picking at the really, really nice stuff. This stuff goes unnoticed. And here's this. It looks like layered or, laminae. And there's some interesting little pops coming around the side there. And then it seams through and through. And it looks like there's also some other shells. So this could just be a shell or two shells. Just happen to be poking through both sides. There's, some other shell fragments. Or is that something? It's hard to tell, what's going on with that texture, the lamination. I know I'm not holding it super great for you guys. There we go. That's a bit of a mystery that might be worth looking into. Shoot, even just cracking this bad boy open with the sledgehammer to see what that might be. Dunno. But yeah, maybe we'll pocket this one so that we can check it out at home. I said, ooh, look at that. And Ochiko decided to sit with his stick right on it. So at least he listens to me, right? But I just thought that this was so elegant, even though it's in the really soft material. Look at how pretty that spiral shell is. Let me see if I can move his rumpus. Wow, here's some of nature's art right there. Just a beautiful spiral shell, just hidden in there, and you can see it's eroding away pretty quick, but that's cool. Hang it. Okay, modern artists, eat your heart out. How cool is that? What a great design. Something really pleasing about that. I think it's a Teredo wood. Very cool. There's a dog that Ochiko wants to play with. It's okay, buddy. Got plenty of rocks and sticks on this beach. So here's a concretion that looks like it opened by itself. And you can see here it's got what looks to be petrified wood there. A little bit of different texture. And it looks like bone. Yep. Nice warm bone in the sun. Yeah. Nothing beats a beautiful day on the beach for sure. Gorgeous. Here's that bone that we found, the hot bone in the sun. And see, you can see some nice detail, bone structure. This side actually better. So this is a very uneven piece of maybe a vertebrae or something big. And since it's so worn, I think we should cut it and see how it looks inside. What do you think?
The cuts are done with my trusty 10-inch high-tech diamond slab saw. Information about this awesome tool is in the description.
We did cut the piece of modern art, and it turned out kind of to be like a heart. We got some really neat wood, like the actual grain of the wood keeps on going in different directions. And this actually, so it's the Teredo wood, and you can see why they also call it peanut wood.
The experience isn't over until you place a piece of concretion we found on the beach under the microscope. Here we see tiny, tiny shells. This is 100 times magnification. These are spiral style, almost like turritella shells. Are they babies, or are these actually foraminifera? Going to have to do some more research on these, but they're spectacular and a new find for us. I thought I'd indulge you in what it looks like to micro rock hound. We can slowly scope through the material to see what we find. As I adjust the depth of field, you can see a form come into focus. That is what I like to call a lucky charm. Still working on the identifications. We stop to look at another form of spiral shell, less chambers and more squat. Also picked up color, whereas the tall ones didn't. It's fascinating to peer into the marine fossil microworld. I could do this for hours, and do. Thank you so much for coming along on this beach hunt, cut fest, and journey into the concretion. Let me know what your favorite was in the comments, and subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps support the channel. For more information, check out ozonefineart.com and keep creating.